Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Prism. Today's video is about my crazy ex. Alright, so this was like last year. Listen, this was my first and only relationship ever. And I know that might be sad, but it's because before her, I was a fat ass, so I was just getting no bitches. Once I lost around like 80 pounds, I decided to use Bumble. Because every time I used Tinder, I kept getting liked by either Brutuses or land walruses, or I would just get catfished, which I'll do another video on eventually. But let me get back to the story. So I swear to God himself that if Kawhi doesn't play two back-to-backs, then I ain't trusting no women. But this time he played three, and then he sat out again. So eventually I matched with this fine-ass girl named Victoria, and we just clicked with each other. Our vibes were in sync. So we were texting on Bumble for like a week, and I'm cracking jokes and shit, making her laugh, and eventually I decided to get a fucking grip, and I asked her out on a date, and she said yes. At the time, all I wanted to do was die rise, so this was something good finally happening to me. We planned to go on a date on Saturday, so I make sure to go out and buy some like new cologne, some new shoes, so I could look and smell real good for the date. So I go on the date and things went fantastic. Like, we really hit it off and she liked my dumb jokes, so things were going great. Eventually, I grip up and I ask her if she would be my girlfriend, and she said yes, which made me feel what I can only assume is happiness. So a month later, we had been on like three more dates at this point. Things are going great, and I'm starting to actually feel something. One day, she calls me and says she wants me to meet her family, and I say, alright. She texts me the address and tells me to come over in like an hour or something, and that she'll introduce me to them. So I get dressed, get in my car, and I drive over to her place. I park in the driveway and notice that the house is very nice, at least from the outside. I knock on the door and she opens it up and gives me a hug. And then she brings me inside and says, Andrew's here. Nothing could have prepared me for this moment, bro. Her brother tells me his name, and my god, it's horrid. His name is E. Dirkleon, and he wears pool floaties on his arms, bruh. I'm thinking the mother and father's names can't be this bad, but I couldn't have been more wrong. The father's name is Barlton, and the mother's name is Corzoline. I'm thinking I'm smoking perks or some shit, but I was just infatuated with this girl at the time, so I disregarded their shitty names. We start hanging out even more and going out on even more dates. We even started playing games together, even though she's dog ass at them. I mean, my dog is better, and he got paws for hands, and he still shoots straighter than her. A month later, she started acting feisty all the time, and I can't even cap, that shit made me horny. But sometimes, I just want some peace. One time, I was playing RE5, and she kicked my door down, bruh, and it was unlocked to begin with. Like, come on, cuh. I work at Walmart. This shit's gonna cost like 3 days of work. The next day, me and her are watching a movie at her place, and we hear some weird ass noises. I come to find out, it's her brother drowning, eating a fucking bowl of cereal. And that's when I realized why he wore the pool floaties. Not that it's gonna save him from drowning or anything. And neither am I, cause this is a 23-year-old man, bruh. Later that day, she finally told me that she loves me, and that in order to prove our love for each other, we need to complete a ritual. I'm like, alright, let's start up a game of shadows and do the one above the spawn room. But she said, this is no game. I want you to drink my blood. Of course, I caved in and I drank her blood. And it was low-key delicious. Like, I might have a blood kink or something. But it was tasting like there was a little bit of lead in it or something. Kinda like the battery I ate when I was a kid. A few weeks after the ritual, Vicky became more and more crazy with each passing day. She brought a fucking wild raccoon into my house and named him Terrio, and that fat ass bites me when I'm sleeping. I've been having to get rabies shots because of this girl. It gets even worse than that. She started stalking me, bro. One time I went to the bathroom, and this girl was hanging on the ceiling like Spider-Man, looking down on me. That same day, I became a Christian, and I got baptized and bought myself a pocket Bible from the gift shop, cause she was acting low-key demonic. She invited me over for a dinner date at her house, and when I got there, she cooked us a whole buffet, which had me feeling like things were going back to normal. But no, she started chowing down on that shit, and before I knew it, she devoured all the food by herself. I ain't even get a bite. I was kinda impressed though. After the dinner, she said, "You can spend the night here." And I'm thinking, I'm about to lose my virginity. I walk into her room, and she was on the bed in a very seductive position. But I got a quick reality check. This girl made me sleep on the floor. I ain't even get a blanket, cuh. And when I woke up the next day and went to my car, I found out that all the seats were missing. This bitch switched them with cardboard cutouts. Later that day, she came over to my place and took a bite out of my monitor, and then she went for my PS5. That was the final straw. I wasn't entertaining anything from her after that, so I called up a priest ASAP, and he came over, and he was literally stunned when he saw what she was doing. He tried to perform an exorcism on her, and this dude downed with the Bible, and I didn't even have enough time to go over there and revive him. So, Rip Priest Huan Chong the third, who actually has two kids, but they died in a car crash. Oh well, not my problem. I was petrified, and I ain't talking about the petrifier from Buried. I grew up in the streets of AW Detroit. I've seen crazy shit happen, like nades being thrown, gunshots throughout the day, but this was different. I thought I could call my homie Hunter since, he's a dumb bitch specialist, but I had to do this on my own. Relying on someone else is a weakness that I don't require anymore since I've evolved. I came up with the plan to get rid of Victoria. So first, I made her change my rusty bike chain. I didn't even think she was capable of doing that. The reason I thought that was because this bitch doesn't even know how to cook toast. It turns out she don't even know how to plug the toaster in. And if you thought that was bad, we can't even cook anything. Her parents haven't paid the electric bill in over a month. Like, I was wondering why it was so dark in here. I thought these fuckers were vampires. And then I remembered in her bio on Bumble, she said she's an aspiring housewife. But this girl is 26 years old and lives with their parents. She don't even got a fucking job. Like a few days ago, she was asking me to move in, and I was actually contemplating it. I walked into her bedroom, and this girl was in the corner reading a book. First of all, who the fuck reads books? But that's not the worst part of this. She was in a rocking chair, facing the wall, making hissing noises like the fat raccoon she brought into my house. And at that moment, I knew I was done with South Florida women. I walked downstairs, I found her parents, and I asked them where they work at. They tell me that they sell grasshoppers and termites for a living, and it turns out they can't even catch the grasshoppers, only the termites, and that's just because their house is infested with them. I asked her parents, "What do you eat since the lights have been off for a month?" Her mom Corzoline said that Vicky goes into the attic and she actually catches the termites that bite the wall, and once she's collected about 30 of them in a Quick Revive bottle, she comes downstairs and puts them on a plate. My heart dropped, bro. I've eaten here multiple times. That's disgusting. She's not the first girl I've encountered that's weird like this, though. My previous childhood friend, Denisha Barcardo II, her father used to tell me bedtime stories when I was a child. He made it really hard for me to sleep at night, and that's why I turned out like this. The reason this scarred me was because his name was also Denisha Barcardo. He was just the senior version. And his breath smelled like raccoon shit and cat piss mixed with cigarette butts that he ate, and it was rancid. Alright, let me get back to how I escaped. What I did saved my life. I grabbed that fat raccoon terrier and I threw him at Vicky, and he started digging his claws into her and biting her neck, which gave me enough time to go to my car and dip out of there. And since that day, I started planning for every scenario so I would never get caught lacking again.